Okay, so for today, I'm going to be looking at revising writing a summary. The important points about how you write a summary, we've covered it before, so it is revision for you. I just want to go quickly over what you need to do when summaries come up, and also where they're likely to come up and what way you're going to be asked about them. So, in writing a summary, what you need to do, or what you're aiming to do, is to reduce a piece of writing to half or less of its size. So it could be a half, preferably about a third, so you're reducing it. In that summary, you just give the main points of what's said there. So you miss out all the extra bits. The summary should, however, be clear and it should give all of the important points. But it's up to you to judge what's needed and what's not needed, and then you cut out what's not needed, and you end up with it's almost like boiling something down, so you've got the bits that you need. So here we have summarising. It's using your own words to shorten a piece of text so that it includes only the essential information. Summaries have far fewer words than the original, but they still provide a clear indication of the main points made by the author. So you can't just chop out a chunk and throw it away. You've got to make sure that you throw away stuff that's not essential to what you're trying to do. An important consideration: what's the point of writing a summary? Well, a summary lets you see all the main points in a piece of writing without having to dig through all the extra description and all the explanations that could be there in the original piece of writing. So if you are, for example, you see a summary when somebody's talking about what happens in a particular film, so they give you a very brief summary of what happens in it. Now, they're not necessarily going to tell you everything that happens in that film, but they're going to give you an idea of the movement of that film. And that's the sort of thing that you're looking at there. So, I suppose importantly for us, we know that summary's useful in many ways, but how is the exam going to ask you to show that you can summarise effectively? What are you going to be tested on? So you might be asked to summarise the main points of an article or any other piece of writing. Could be a speech, could be a web page of that, just to summarise the main points or some of the main points based on a particular subject. But the question will be very clear, but it will ask you to pick out the bits that relate to what they're asking for. So it can be very useful in some ways in your exam. And I'm going to give you a little practice of that by reading through this article. You might not be able to see it too clearly there, but again, I'll be sending out the slides so you can look at it on the slides. You might be familiar with this. This is an actual text from one of the previous level 2 exams. It's about the metal detecting. You probably maybe notice it if you know me that I quite enjoyed that one. So, a metal detecting enthusiast has found an amazing £1 million hoard of coins. Paul Coleman, whose bank account was in the red, almost stayed at home and missed out because he was barely able to afford petrol for his car. But hours later, he unearthed more than 5,000 Anglo-Saxon silver coins, one of the biggest finds ever made in Britain. Experts believe the hoard may have been buried after the Battle of Hastings in 1066 to protect it from the Norman invaders. Jobless Paul will split the money from his find with the farmer who owns the land on which it was found. He made the discovery just before Christmas and now has plans to buy a new house. Paul said, "I found a piece of lead and thought it was junk, but then I looked in the hole and saw one shiny coin. Then I lifted a larger piece of lead and saw row upon row of coins neatly stacked. By that point, the excitement had built up and I was grinning from ear to ear. This find means I will never have to work again. It's a massive weight off my mind." Paul made his find at an event organised by the Weekend Wanderers Detecting Club. Around 100 enthusiasts had turned up to search farmland near Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire. The 5,251 coins were in a lead box buried 2 feet underground. Experts say they are in such good condition they will fetch around £250 each, giving a total of more than £1.3 million. It took an hour and a half for Paul and 3 others to count the coins, which have now been taken to the British Museum for full identification. Paul hopes that museums will soon be able to bid for the hoard. People will want to see the coins and his family's financial future will be secure. Okay, have a little go looking at that and see if you can reduce each paragraph. Just put a basic summary for each of those paragraphs, and then I'll show you in my next slide what I came up with for that particular one.